Hey, so this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Elton Brewington, and we're with Brightside Global Trade TV. And we're always honored when we have Bill Pekny to tell us about Two Climates. It's a book that I absolutely love, and I think you should get it. It will be an eye opener for you and give you much appreciation for our planet. And it's deep understanding when you go through hurricanes and fires and you wonder what's going on with this global warming. His book is so well written that it's so easy to read and it makes a lot of sense. So welcome, and tell us what you have to share with us today.
Well,
And
thank
thank you
you,
for being so
and Elizabeth. It's great to be with you again. And my
Thank you.
thanks to all those who have served in one capacity or another. And I'll just take a couple of minutes to update you on my book, which I wrote. Was my first project after retiring. A Tale of Two Climates, one real, one imaginary. And it tells the other side of the story that you don't hear as often in the news, which is that our climate has always changed. It's still changing. It always will. And our climate right now is warming, but slightly so in a natural and beneficial way. And so that's what the book is about. And I just thought I'd spend 3 or 4 minutes just updating you on what's happening this year. I think that's of interest. We know that in where I'm at out in the West, in northern Utah, it's dry out here, and it's typically fairly wet in the eastern portion of the country along the Atlantic regions like North Carolina, where you're at. And we have 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, so there's plenty to go around, but it's not always exactly where we like it to be. And so this book is about all the different things that you don't hear very often about temperature, especially, and carbon dioxide. Let me share just a couple of slides with you, if you don't mind. I'm going to try here, Claire. Okay, so can you see my slides now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is the book, and just some updates on what's going on with it, and what's not in it as well. Like I said, our temperature is slightly and mildly warming, as it should be. As if you look historically backward in time, you see that we're in an interglacial warming period between 2 ice ages, and we're supposed to be warming. So anyhow, and this is what's going on temperature-wise. Let me blow this up so you can see it better. It looks, our temperature difference is zigzaggy. It changes frequently, but the trend, the climatic trend, is that it's pretty stable. If I expanded this off to the left and went for a longer time period, right now it's just going between January 2005 and May of 2022, you'd see that the trend in temperature is slightly, but beneficially rising. But here for the last 7 years or so, if you drew a trend line along here, you'd see that its temperature is fairly flat. Not everywhere. What's happening in the east is not necessarily what's going on in the west, but when you look at the trends, the long-term trends, it's a stable, well-controlled, and not by us humans. It's controlled by the sun, of course, water, and planetary motion, which is what drives all of this. What does our world look like? Well, our planet for the last several decades has been greening, and this is a composite photograph that shows the amount of greening that's been going on. The brown areas, like over here, show places that aren't greening at the moment, but overall, the world as a whole is greening, and the reason for that is this beneficially rising temperature and the increasing amounts of carbon dioxide, a good gas, not a pollutant, is helping to have this great thing happening to us. You hear a lot about extreme weather, tornadoes, hurricanes, sea level rise and all that. Just the tornado trend in the United States continues to be on a significant downward trend as our Earth warms slightly and normally. And if you look at the physics behind this, which I will not bore you with, the fact is that it should, in a warming climate, we should be seeing fewer of these extreme events. So that's what's going on with tornadoes. Hurricanes, of course, are important to you in the eastern portion of the country. It's been a rather mild hurricane year this year. It was expected to be a lot stronger, but it's not. There have been very few so far, and knock on wood, we'll hope that that continues for you all. And the reason that the scientists, the true scientists are believing that this is the case is this weather pattern that you've probably heard of, a La Nina year that we're in right now as far as hurricanes goes, is what's kept them rather low this year, and unexpectedly so. And that unexpectedness is really due to, there's so much that we don't still understand about our climate, and especially the currents, the ocean currents that drive our air currents and weather and our long-term climate trends. So tornadoes are down, hurricanes are flat to slightly down this year. What else can we say? Wildfires out west, really important out here. This wildfires are about like what they have been the last few years, continuing this year out in California, Oregon, Utah, Idaho, where most of the wildfires happen. As you can see here, the best metric for wildfires is the acres burned by the wildfires, not necessarily the number of wildfires. And as you can see by this plot over on the right-hand side, it's been fairly stable over the last 20 or so years at around somewhere between 8 and 10 million acres burned per year. And that's in contrast. What you don't hear about is this left-hand side of the graph back in the Dust Bowl era, when wildfires were upwards of 50 million acres burned per year. So as bad as they are, and my sympathy, my heartfelt sympathies go out to anybody affected by a wildfire, but they're not nearly the record levels that you might hear from the mainstream media. So let's go a little bit further now. So yes, we are warming slightly, but it's cold that kills. And this is from a respected journal, the Lancet, that deaths from cold are 9 times more than deaths from heat. I just thought that was an interesting graph that you don't hear about every day. Electric vehicles, California's had heat waves this past week or so, and they've been asked to cut down their use of power because of the grid and all of that. Well, I laughed and laughed and laughed. This is a Tesla electric vehicle carrying a generator because the state of the Western states are saying conserve your electricity. Anyhow, so I just thought that was an interesting picture that I saw last week on the news. So what I guess what I want to end with here is what the truth is, that real scientists will tell you is to be well, sleep well. There is no climate crisis. It's doing what it's supposed to be, and it's natural, and it's not caused except by a very little bit by humans. and we need to take care of the way we pollute our earth, but all is well, and there is no crisis. So I think I'll just end there. Anybody that's interested in the book, I'll put this in the chat section too. You can either call me directly for a signed copy if you'd like to have one, or email me at bill@2climates.org, and I'll take care of the. You can get either a hardcover or an ebook. There's so many graphics in this book that I strongly recommend the hardcover, so you can see them easier than you can electronically on a tablet or a phone. Anyhow, so that's me. That's where I'm at, and be well. There is no climate crisis. Any questions? I said I'd take 3 or 4 minutes. I think I went over. My apologies. So I hope I didn't.
Fine presentation, Bill. We really appreciate your insight.
You're welcome.
And you always bring us a perspective on environment, and it's always good to know where we are, especially considering we're going into the fall here. And I know there's some concerns about what the fall might look like in terms of cooling, but there will always be concerns. But we'll have to brave the storms.
Yeah, and the hurricane season is not over yet. So although it's been mild and polite so far, the hurricane season goes on till the 1st of November. So
yeah,
good luck out there on the East Coast.
In the Caribbean, they have a holiday period called Hurricane Thanksgiving. You know, where all the Caribbean islands, if they got through the hurricane season without a hurricane, they celebrate. That's what the festivals are for.
Yeah.
So we also have to be mindful of that and think through those things and storms to storm.
If you can stop sharing the screen, I can bring everybody back.
Yes, my apologies.
But thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. There we go.
Okay. So
I thought this was a wonderful night, and thank you for these wonderful presentations. I'm going to stop recording. You're watching Brightside, and if you have a comment, get the book. As he said, it's got a lot of graphics, and you need them. So make sure that you take a picture so we know that you were watching this video and that you bought the book. And if you do that, we'll give you 2 tickets to our next event, and we might even invite you to our 30-day challenge, which is going to be beginning very soon. So thank you for watching Brightside Global